Here at Bur CE Primary in the South Downs National Park, we are one of the smallest schools in West Sussex with only 50 children. However, we have big ambitions.
Over the past 6 weeks, we have been learning about the men from our village who fought in both World Wars and the centenary of the end of World War I.
We have found it very interesting to research and discover the history of Bury, and in this brief film, we would like to share our intriguing project with you.
We've been learning about the World Wars and uncovering Bury's past. We decided to make clay poppies for the men who died from Bury and from our own families. But the main inspiration for us was Paul Cummins' authentic poppy display at the Tower of London in 2014 that commemorated the centenary of World War I.
Before you started the topic, what were your feelings on these tragic events?
While we were doing the poppy project, it was very heart-wrenching since the soldiers gave their lives for us to defend our country. We should remember those men now, just as they thought about their families and descendants when they went to war.
Did you do anything else to remember the men who died in the war?
A booklet about the servicemen from World War I already exists, and we thought it was a bit strange that the men from World War II hadn't already been written about. We went to St John's Church and looked at the War Memorial to find the names of the fallen from the Second World War. We then went back to school and used a lot of websites and local knowledge to research them.
How did you display this information? As a class, we created a booklet full of information about the men, their lives and war service.
You mentioned earlier that you made clay poppies. Can you tell me more about this?
We chose to make clay poppies about all the local men on the war memorials. Each poppy has an individual name tag. We invited the local community and other schools in our area to create 120 beautiful crimson poppies, which will be planted in Bury's Anchor Orphans churchyard.
First the pupils cut out the templates, then delicately pinched the edges to make the petals more poppy-like. At that point, the students attached the inner and outer petals together using slip.
Detail was added to the clay poppies by carving faint lines and dots to represent the seeds. Each person made a name tag for those men who had died in combat, and the poppies were fired. The children glazed the poppies and they were refired and had the name tags and metal stems attached to make the poppies come to life.
The churchyard was crowded, everyone sharing emotions. When the poppies were planted around the memorial, it felt like everyone was on the battlefield, watching strangers and family members falling. 3 Year 5 and 6 children read out the famous poem by John McCree, Flanders Fields.
In Flanders Fields the poppies blow, between the crosses row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky, the lark still bravely singing fly.
The children and villagers came together for a 45-second silence to think about the sacrifice of the men from Bury and elsewhere around the world.
Over the course of this compelling project, the children realised that it is important to remember the selfless men and women who were willing to sacrifice their lives for us. They were particularly struck by the fact that some of the soldiers from the village were as young as 14 when they went to war. The students learnt that wars can affect all kinds of people all over the world, even tiny rural villages like Bury.